It's the Elsa Kurt Show with Clay Novak. Conservative views on world news. Brought to you by The Wellness Company. Prepare for the unexpected. And Refuge Medical. And now, it's time for the show.
Well, hey there, guys. How is everyone doing? I'm pretty sure we're doing okay. We're both commiserating about wildly busy days, and I'm not commiserating, just conversing about them. Right?
It's good busy though, right?
Yeah.
We again, I know we keep throwing all the audience a curveball, but it's Tuesday
for us.
We are busy. Elsa and I are busy, and so we're fitting this in on a Tuesday, but very important based on what happened to President Trump and really what's going on in Israel in the last 24 hours, or I should say, because of Israel in the last 24 hours. But we'll get to all that in just a minute.
Oh my goodness. Well, right off the darn bat. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. It's crazy. That's the given. And it's also certainly not surprising. Nobody's surprised, right? I mean, as a Trump supporter, as a civilized, decent human being, you don't even have to be a Trump supporter. I have this low key dread feeling all the time when it comes to thinking about that. When I think about Trump doing any rallies, Trump doing any appearances, this is as they say, and I hate the phrase, but I'm going to use it. This is top of mind every time. Every time, that's what I'm thinking, and I know I can't be the only one, right?
No, absolutely. Every time he makes a public appearance, we're all concerned, and that level of concern is going to continue to go up.
Yeah.
This is a second legitimate, attempt to take his life.
Right.
Now, thankfully, and I know the Secret Service at upper echelons is taking some crap over this. Mm-hmm. Like, how did this happen again? How did that? And there's a lot of questions to be asked. Don't get me wrong, but they were proactive in this one in that, they were doing what they were supposed to do, right?
Yes.
The boss was on the golf course, and they had guys, 2 holes ahead, 3 holes ahead. They had guys 2 holes behind, 3 holes behind. So they, listen, anybody that thinks that the Secret Service should have covered that entire every inch of that golf course is being completely unreasonable.
Right.
You don't, the manpower required for that is ridiculous. But they were proactive enough to find this guy, spot him, and, oh, by the way, proactively open fire. They did not wait for this guy to shoot.
Didn't wait, saw and shot. Yes, yeah. I'm pleased with that portion of it. And the looming question. Well, actually, let's backtrack just a tiny bit. I'm sure by the time you guys watch this on Thursday, we all know the story. So we'll just do like the tiniest recap, which is that Trump had an unscheduled. Now, this is a very key point, really.
Very key.
Unscheduled golf excursion outing this past Sunday, 2 months to the day of the last attempt on his life. And they were, like you said, he had servicemen or Secret Servicemen 2 holes ahead, 2 behind, watching everything. They spotted all of that stuff went on. So the question that everybody, of course, is reasonably asking is, how did a guy who is from, I think, North Carolina, resides in Hawaii or has been residing in Hawaii, how does this guy know where and when to show up to do this? And he was there, this is what they're saying, he was there for 12 hours. So
12 hours.
Yes. Yeah. Set up around 1 a.m. The incident occurred. Incident sounds so trivial to say. This happened at like 1:30 in the afternoon. So 12 hours, this guy was able to bring 2 backpacks, an AK-47.
No. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
He had a rifle. Good. Let's just say rifle for right now.
Just a rifle for now. Okay. So he's able to get onto the golf course and bring all this stuff. Now, the Secret Service is saying, or whoever released the statement, said that no, there's no surveillance or protection around there, generally speaking, because he's not a sitting president. That was their their reasoning. And I guess if he's not there, if he's not expected to be there, I guess why would you have, well, I guess this is why, right? So yeah, so that's the big question. Like, how would this guy know? Because we don't believe in coincidence. I mean, there's no such thing as coincidence. So who tipped this guy off? Who knew? I mean, that's got to be a fairly small inner circle of people, relatively small.
Yeah, I mean, so yes, so in the Trump camp, the timeline that none of us know are, when did he say I'm going to play golf at Trump National? Right? When am I going? When did he make that decision? When did he let the Secret Service know?
Mm-hmm.
When did the Secret Service let the golf course know?
Mm-hmm.
And who in the golf course knew?
Yeah.
That's where all of your potential leaks come from.
Right.
So it's somebody either in his very most inner circle, which I highly doubt.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the immediate Secret Service detail, somebody's got either a loud mouth or can't keep a secret or want to keep a secret, which is possible. Right?
Yeah.
Is it somebody at the golf course?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean,
right.
There's a few, but there's only a few places where this could get out.
Yeah.
And again, to know 12 hours in advance. So we know the decision was made at least 12 hours before that.
Yes.
And probably you would imagine 24 hours at a minimum beforehand. The president said, I think I'm going to go knock 18 tomorrow.
Right.
So that puts the Secret Service in a bind.
Mm-hmm.
It's whatever timeline it is, it's short. And so, do they get the opportunity to do a full sweep and clear, whatever they're going to do? I know that they had snipers out there. I've seen pictures of snipers with rifles on tripods. So I know that was part of the coverage plan. I don't know what other assets or other local law enforcement was involved in the initial. Like, I know in the follow-up and the arresting and all that other stuff, they were involved. But before that, did the sheriff's department know? I don't know. Did the local police know? I don't know. So, was there, and this is the one that keeps getting me. So they've got guys on the ground, which I get, right? Got to do that. With the drone technology that we have, you're telling me that they couldn't get even a medium size. I'm not talking about, one of these little handhelds, and I'm not talking about a Predator either. I'm talking something medium size, get it up 200, 300, 400 feet, fly it around, check it out. I know we have the capability for that. I'm sure the Secret Service has a capability for that. So
no question. Yeah.
Was that being done or was it not? So that's all part of it. The next, the guy, Ruth, what is
Ruth? Yeah, I don't even know. Let's take a. We can keep talking while we take a look. This is the guy.
Yeah, so I've heard very mixed stories about his involvement with Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to go over there at some point. They basically laughed him off and said, "Hey, man, you go recruit or whatever, but like you have no experience as a soldier. You got no experience on the battlefield. You are of no help. Go home." And they sent him home. And then he was trying to, and that is from. Those are quotes from what they call it, the International Legion or the foreign, so it's all the expat type. It's the Americans and the Brits and all the Westerners who jump in and are fighting out there for Ukraine. They're the ones that said this guy was nuts.
Mm-hmm. And here, I mean, any question about if he's nuts or not, we can take a look at this.
20-year-old guy that sold everything he owns to come here to fight. That is heroism. He's coming here to risk his life for humanity, for the Ukrainians, guys that sell everything they own to come here and support the Ukrainians while others sit at home and do nothing.
So, one half of the hair is blue.
He's been arrested dozens of times.
Yes. Gun charges. He's a felon.
That's a discussion too, is where did the gun come from?
Yes.
But I heard probably that if you want an indicator that this guy's not right, from when he lived in North Carolina, one of his neighbors, very nice lady, provided a great interview. She said he was a little bit weird, and she knew he was weird because he kept a horse in his house. In the house.
Oh.
Okay. So
red flags all over the place.
Right. But again, back to the gun, right? You said what was reported on the news, which was AK-47. Okay.
Right.
That was not, in fact, an AK-47. That was lazy by the media.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What is the price?
The actual type of rifle is what is known as an SKS, So it is somewhat of a predecessor to, or an equivalence, not an equivalency. It's not an equivalent, but a predecessor to, or a lower tech rifle of the early Korean War. Now, it got carried for a long time in the Soviet Army, but early Korean War technology. Okay. It is, not a quote unquote assault rifle. It's not even on the banned list in most states that have assault weapons bans, because it doesn't have all of the scary things that assault rifles have, right? The magazine is fixed. It doesn't have a detachable magazine. It doesn't have a pistol grip. It doesn't have black plastic or metal all over it. It's a wood, you know what I mean? So it doesn't have any of those things.
Is this something like a collector would have? Like, is this a collector's type gun?
It is a cheap version of a semi-automatic rifle that is and was available on the market for years and years and years after the wall fell in hundreds of copies. But again, it's not banned anywhere. In a lot of states, you can actually even hunt with it. So this is not he is a felon and shouldn't have owned it in the first place. So question number one on the gun is, where did it come from? Which, they'll have to track it down if it even has a serial number on it anymore. Probably doesn't. Probably not. But who gave it to him? How did he get it? Will be of interest. But again, those who are in the, we need to ban all assault weapons. This would not have been caught on that list. So that. And again, lazy reporting by the news, because they did report it. The media reported as an AK-47, which is on all the banned lists, right along with an AR-15. Yep. But this would not have been caught on any of those lists.
I gotta say, for any thinking person with not even half a brain, just a quarter of a brain is all you really need to just get it through your skull that these bans, all of this nonsense is exactly that. It's nonsense, because who listens to laws and who breaks laws? Who's going to, you know what I mean? I mean, come on. You're not going to get the guns. It's not going to happen. People who do illegal things, bad people, don't obey laws. So you're taking guns away from the good guys. You're disarming people who need to be able to protect themselves, because you're sure as heck not doing it. And, the police can't be everywhere at once. They can barely even do their job thanks to legislation and all the crap that goes on, So, just enough of the nonsense. And just for, numbers, and it could have changed. This was like up until 2019, I think was the last data I saw, but 85% of mass shootings occur in gun-free zones. Come on. Cool. Everybody's so sick of this crap that's got a brain. But anyhow, I digress. Back to the topic. It makes me so aggravated.
So the guy is clearly, he's off center, at a minimum. So he gets in there 12 hours early. If you've seen photos of his little hideout, he had the two backpacks hanging on the fence. The rifle was there, which he ditched, right? So they have it. So the Secret Service are walking in front of the president. They see him through the fence. Secret Service draws and engages. Don't hit him, obviously. But he scatters, takes off. A couple of good law-abiding citizens took a picture of his car and license plate. They got it to the police. Now, he did get pretty far on the highway. He was an hour out. Yeah. By the time he got pulled over, but it takes a while for that stuff to, get out to where to go. There's great footage out there of the arrest by police officers, and he was, this Routh guy was evidently very calm. Oh, what are you pulling me over for? I don't know what you're talking about, right? So, he got arrested. He's in custody. I'm sure Hillary Clinton is asking why the guy's still alive, but that's a different discussion.
Yeah. Well, that's because DeSantis won't turn him over.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So
that's still the case. Yes, he's still not turning him over. Yeah.
As far as I know, yes. It's that's something to watch. But I know that he has said that there will be a Florida investigation, regardless of anything else. Which spoken like a true lawyer. Gotta love him.
Yes.
But so it's the second attempt on the president. Right. And, as bad as that is, and it's, find me another president who had two legitimate assassination attempts.
Yeah, seriously.
Go ahead.
In short order like that, too. Yeah. Come on.
And then the reaction. Yeah. The reaction from the media and from probably the worst offender in the whole thing was Secretary Clinton. I don't know if you saw the interview.
And I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is.
Yeah. Absolutely gaslighting, with it less than 48 hours after it happened, back to he's a threat to the country. He's a threat to the planet, she said. Like, come on. This is back to the same discussion we had 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Which was, this is saying she deserved it because she was wearing a short skirt.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Victim blaming.
It's
absolute
victim blaming.
Straight out victim blaming.
And it's happening already. Lester Holt.
Yeah.
Lester Holt, who's one of the most, I hate to say it. He's a Chicago guy. I saw him, I watched him as a teenager and grown up. He's been around a long time, and he is one of the old heads left in journalism. But he was one of them. All he needs to pipe down the rhetoric. No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Can you imagine? Basically, I could lose my absolute mind over this. It's so infuriating. I mean, it's all the powers that be want me to swear so badly right now. I'm telling you, so unbelievable. So obviously the tactic right now from the left, I saw somebody, I think it was Glenn Beck, said, stop calling it mainstream media. It's state-run media. And I like that. And I'm changing it. I'm not calling it mainstream media anymore. It's state-run media, because that is what it is, period. But all of the state-run media is basically tooting the same horn, which is to say it's his own fault. He brought this on. Not even the slightest pretense now of like, oh, well, we denounce this. This is a terrible thing. It shouldn't happen. Now it's just straight to, well, it's his own fault. He opened his mouth and that's what he gets. He shouldn't wear that skirt.
I love Babylon Bee. It's like
do too.
The greatest thing going right now. And
so
it was
awesome.
A picture of Vice President Harris, who has herself called or likened President Trump to Hitler.
Yes.
Right. And I think the Babylon Bee headline was, Democrats now saying they're happy that Hitler is safe. So just the disingenuous, right?
Yeah.
All of it is so disingenuous, and they're just pointing that out, which is 100% true. But all of that reaction, but in all of the bad reaction, the one great reaction was the call from President Trump to, Vance. It said, they wouldn't even let me finish. He was mad because his golf got interrupted.
I love this. So I actually have his, so he was on X last night. I think that was last night. And this is his quote. This is what he said. And I just love this guy. So here's verbatim. He says, so I was playing golf with some of my friends. It was on a Sunday morning and very peaceful, very beautiful weather. Everything was beautiful. It was a nice place to be. And all of a sudden we heard shots being fired in the air. And I guess probably four or five, and it sounded like bullets. But what do I know about that? He says, but Secret Service knew immediately it was bullets, and they grabbed me. And I think probably the other one, Steve, is one of the people. Steve Witkoff is a great friend of mine, a great businessman. He, goes off the rails a little bit for a moment, talking about what a great guy he is. Never mind the fact that I'm talking about my assassination attempt. Yeah. But let me just talk about I just love him for these things. So he says, so we're in the group and everybody just, there's like a pause. We got into the carts and we moved along pretty good. I was with an agent and the agent did a fantastic job. There was no question that we were off that course. I would have loved to have sank that last putt, but we decided, let's get out of here. He's just a joy to me, this guy. He goes on to say, and what the gunfire was actually, interestingly, was a Secret Service agent had seen a barrel of he said also AK-47, because, they probably still didn't know.
Was told.
Nobody was told, which is a powerful gun rifle. He goes on, starts shooting in the bushes. How good is that, right? Could only see the barrel. He goes on, and then he explains how he ran across the street and grabbed his car, hopped into the truck or car, the Routh or whatever his name is. And he says, and amazingly, a civilian in that area saw something and it looked suspicious, and they drove their car. I guess they followed is what he's basically saying, and took pictures as we talked about. And goes on and tells the whole thing. It's just, I think he had one other quote in here, but my favorite one, I think, was about he would have liked to sunk that putt. Yeah, the guy's, there's only one Trump. There's only one.
here's my projection. The next thing that you're going to start hearing is
Mhm.
there is going to be accusations or intonations that President Trump, after 2 assassination attempts, is going to be suffering from PTSD. And they are
Oh,
going to make
geez.
him wait. I'm telling you,
Mhm.
they are going to question his fitness for office
Right.
based on that.
Sure. Yep.
Wait, it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Mark my words.
Yep.
That's going to be. They're going to, question his mental fitness.
Right.
And listen, he's a tough guy, and I
Yeah.
understand that he is the anti Joe Biden, right?
Mhm.
So he is that guy. And I do believe that President Trump is a pretty tough guy. I do. I think it's in him. I think it's who he is. But somebody did try to kill him twice. Like there is an effect on, I don't care who you are, right? And he is a dad, right?
Yeah.
To 5 kids, and
5 kids.
I know Barron is still pretty young, and there's a bit of mortality that settles in. You think about that. I don't care who you are.
Right.
So I'm sure he has thought about it, but I promise you that line of thought and that line in the media is that your state-run media is going to start coming out, is that
Yeah.
he has PTSD and he is unfit for office.
Hmm.
Wait on that one.
Yeah, I don't put anything past them. These are really sick,
Yeah.
twisted people. Just to be even saying, on a national screen, on a national stage, to be sitting there and telling your audiences that he deserved this to happen. I mean, that is the messaging. So that is a sickness beyond comprehension. I tell you, I this whole thing, seeing this side of people, and I've been around the block. I'm not a spring chicken. I've been around the block. I know people are awful. A lot of people are awful in a lot of ways. Having said that, there is still a part of me that is shocked and appalled at how absolutely horrible people are, and callous and careless. I mean, this man is a grandfather. He's a father, like you said. He's a father to 5. He is a grandfather to very young grandchildren.
Right.
I'm sure his family won't let his grandchildren watch when he's, because talk about, traumatizing.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that for a minute. That is, these kids, these little children are watching their grandfather, who they don't know anything about politics, and nor should they. That's just their grandpa, and people are trying to kill their grandpa. It's just unreal. It's unreal to me.
Yeah.
It's freaking politics, people. Calm the F down. And, and I am the first one to say and believe that, yes, I mean, we are, as a society, as a civilization, we're in big trouble because of the powers that be that are in charge right now and will potentially continue. Yes, we're definitely in big trouble, but it's not a license just to go killing people. That's not who we are. That's not what we are. And to instigate and encourage and incite people to that level of frenzy, you're talking, they're talking to unhinged people, and they know it.
Yep.
They know their target audience. People like this, obviously, like this guy who, speaking of, here's this one here. So I don't know if you guys can read this. I can barely read it without my glasses on. But Time puts out this statement shortly, shortly after the whole thing, by the time that we had already all had the information that we collectively had. And, they're basically saying that, we don't really know what his political ideology is or a criminal record or anything about him. This is a blatant lie. At that point in time, when that was posted, that was an absolute straight out lie.
Yeah.
Because we all knew it was all out already. I mean, internet detectives sitting in their basements unearth that faster,
And time will hide behind when it's convenient. And in this case, it's convenient for them to say, well, none of that was verified.
Yeah.
Until we have time to verify, we are not going to, blah, 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 blah. Again, they say that when it's convenient.
When
and
it's convenient.
Everybody knew. It doesn't take long. The internet speed is what it is. And it's
exactly.
stuff out. Unfortunately, is there potentially going to be another one of these before November?
Yeah,
probably.
I mean, I would say I would almost say there's no question about it. It would be more shocking if there wasn't. It's disturbing and it's scary, and it will send this country into a turmoil like we have never seen. We think we're in turmoil right now, which we are. We think we know what turmoil is. If God forbid that happens,
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. That is a worst case scenario for this
Yeah.
country. And I'm not, and this isn't, this isn't him losing the election.
Right.
That's not what we're talking
That's different.
about,
No.
right? Him losing the election is one thing.
Mhm.
If God forbid, and I don't even like talking about this, but
Mhm.
if there is another attempt and there is a successful attempt on his life, this country is going to be so destabilized, and the level of violence is going to escalate like a friggin' skyrocket.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be dangerous and scary here for a while.
Yeah.
I have no doubt in my mind about that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you, I haven't mentioned it lately, but as a Christian, there it is. There it is. You knew she'd bring it up eventually. Yes, as a Christian, I do keep my faith in, that God is in control, and I have to, and I'm sure anyone who is also a Christian who believes in God is saying and feeling and thinking the same things, that we have to just keep reminding ourselves of that. I don't know what to tell people who don't believe. I don't know. But all I can say as a Christian, that's what we believe. And when this stuff is going on, I almost have to repeat it like a mantra, because I feel that anxiety coming up, because when you think about everything that, can possibly happen in this arena right now, and we're still living through it, whether God's in control or not, we're still living through it. So it's,
Yeah.
Pray. If you're a praying person, pray. If you want to call it something else, wishing, hoping, call it whatever you want, just do it. Put that goodness out there. I don't know what else to say about it, man.
Well, and unfortunately, on the flip side of the ballot,
Mm-hmm.
Vice President Harris, who gave her first solo interview, which was a disaster.
Yeah, if I think I just rolled my eyes so hard they almost stayed back there. I just can't even.
Yeah, it was exactly what everybody anticipated it would be. It was a lot of it was regurgitation from the debate, which proves that she had things memorized.
Exactly.
We heard about her growing up in the middle class neighborhood again.
Yes.
Which by the way, check out my latest blog, because she didn't grow up middle class.
I didn't think she did.
No,
I didn't think so.
It's all BS. But she regurgitated that same crap. And interestingly enough, her first solo interview she gave to a local, and not even one of the big ones, a local Philadelphia station.
Right.
That's who she chose to do it with.
Yeah. What is the reasoning behind that, you think?
Oh, I think it was a toe dip in the water.
Safe.
Somewhat. Nothing safe. I mean, everything that's in the media is in the media.
Right.
But the immediate audience was minimal. And it was a local station versus a national, blah, 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 blah. So, I think the intent was to try and keep it small, keep the reaction small. And truthfully, when you go to a small station like that, the interviewer can be controlled a lot easier than somebody at a big station.
Right.
So I think that's what it was, but I really think it was like supposed to be a low threat, toss her a bunch of softballs kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And she's terrible. We all knew this.
Yeah. Here's one of her really deep, brilliant insights that she shared.
I grew up in a neighborhood of folks who were very proud of their lawn, and I was raised to believe and to know that all people deserve dignity. And that we as Americans have a beautiful character. We have ambitions and aspirations and dreams, but not everyone necessarily has access to the resources that can help them fuel those dreams and ambitions.
Wow, that was so deep. Let me take a moment and absorb.
Yeah, I just figured something out.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that clip 5 times.
Yeah,
but I just realized what she's trying to do. You you ever meet those people who use vocabulary and they try to sound smart, and half the time they use it wrong, or they mispronounce it, or it just is very out of sorts for the entire context of the conversation. She's not doing that, but what she is trying to do in that particular clip is she's trying to sound statesmanlike. She's rehearsing her ability to communicate with other high-level world leaders in a statesman-like manner. And I know that sounds sexist because I said statesman, but whatever. But that's what that is. She is
Yeah.
trying. That's in her delivery, in her, we as Americans, and it's as bad as. And listen, I love President Bush first. Actually, I like both of them, but President Bush the first go around, 1,000 points of light. I think back to Dana Carvey.
Yeah, right.
But that's he was trying very much to be a statesman, which he was not necessarily great at. That's what she's trying to do.
Yeah.
She's trying to rehearse that, whatever it is, accent number 11, that she can pull out of her handbag.
I mean, how many more can this woman manage?
But
it's so crazy.
Yeah, the quality of the questions, her answers were awful. Again, nobody cares about the neighborhood you grew up in. Shut up.
Yeah. And I'm sure that the question, I don't even remember what the question was, but I'm sure the question, the answer was not in any way related to the question.
Very much softball. She's not taking on the big things, right? She's not even discussing the big things.
No.
I want to know, right? And we're going to change topics again. We're rapid fire. But I want to know where she's at on what happened today in the Middle East.
Yeah. That was crazy.
I want a response because it's immediate. And I want her response now because as president, she is going to have to give a response right now.
Yeah.
So I want to know what it is. This happened today for all of you that are following along. Again, we're recording on Tuesday, but in across different portions of the Middle East, a number of pagers, old school beepers, simultaneously detonated, killing. I don't even know what the number is right now. It's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. So it was a mixed number. They didn't separate the number into what, I don't even know if they know yet, but it was like 2,700 dead and or injured. So it's a combination. Yeah, that's a lot.
Right. So now
they got a shipment of pagers, right? I mean, that was kind of the story. Like this was all from one shipment. Yeah, and they were passed out.
Mm-hmm. It's not an accident.
No. Oh gosh, no.
Yeah. So, Mossad is the CIA, right? That's Israel's version of the CIA. So of course people, because this is Hezbollah, it was targeting Hezbollah, specifically members of Hezbollah. So everybody immediately turned and pointed fingers at the Mossad and the Israeli government. And the Israeli government did a no comment, which
did they go like this? They're like, I don't know.
We will not be commenting on this at this time, I think is what they said, which is, you may as well say you're guilty.
Right.
But so this is like old school spy stuff, right? Yeah. This is like, the box of cigars to Castro kind of stuff. So like you said, you have to imagine somewhere along the way, and we don't know what the timeline on this is. Like these things could have been shipped out months ago, right? For distribution. But pagers all across the Middle East, various locations, all went off, exploded simultaneously today. That's not an accident.
Yeah, lots of different videos.
Right? They're all over the place. And again, the numbers are staggering.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, people ask, I did, like immediately I was like, pagers? Who the hell uses a pager anymore? And then I thought backwards to my own experiences in the Middle East. Listen, we've all seen it in the movies. I experienced it in real life. You can track a cell phone, okay, because it's transmitting, right? Cell phones transmit all the time, right? The location on your cell phone is transmitting, right? It's bouncing off of cell phone towers, and that's how it can be tracked. Pagers are not tracked, which is why bad guys in the Middle East use them. They can get a page that says, whatever it is, and go to, it's not a phone booth, but a phone bank, right? They have them all over the place over there. And then they make their phone call from there. And they don't make it from the cell phone that they're holding in their hand that can be tracked. So that's why they're using pagers. Bad guys use pagers. It's just like drug dealers used to use, although not for the same reason. But simultaneously detonated today, injuring thousands and thousands of people. Now, some people look at that and they go, well, that was a pretty slick operation, pretty interesting that they got him into the right hands. But I disagree with this wholeheartedly. There is no target discrimination when you do something like this. There's already a report of kids being involved, kids being killed in the midst of this. So you don't know who has that pager in their pocket.
Yeah.
Right. The bad guy from Hezbollah comes home and he gives, his young child a pager so he can keep track of him. Doesn't realize that it's wired, right? gives it to a child, or, somebody's got this pager in their pocket and they're in a crowded marketplace and it goes off, right?
Yep.
Now you've got collateral damage. You've got fratricide. You've got, friendly, innocent people being wounded or killed because of this thing. As very James Bond as this is, I think it's horrific. And if the Israeli government is responsible, which I'm sure they are, this is one that is not going to gain them any points.
No, right.
Because
I mean, I can't deny my immediate initial response was like, and then as you expanded the window there of things that did happen and certainly could happen with something like that. Yeah, that's pretty reckless and not a good look, certainly. Now, and tragic, and I'm using very minimalizing words. I mean, that's horrendous that, children lost their lives and innocent people were injured or killed even. So, yeah, it's, I don't know what to even make of that. It feels like such a strange choice, like almost petty instead of, targeted and calculated and all those things. Like, it's kind of a weird choice.
Yeah, again, I think they were counting on only bad guys use pagers.
Yeah,
I think they were banking on that, but they missed. It was a bad call. And again, as much scrutiny as they are under globally, this was a really, really bad call. And I'm sure that, some faction or arm of the Mossad was involved with this. That's where things like this come from. Yeah. So, the question is when was this initiated? Who authorized it? I would assume something like this has got to go pretty high,
right?
Because there is risk involved with this. So, but I think it was a bad strategic decision. I think it was a bad look for them that is just going to bring more scrutiny against Israel. I think it was a horrible decision operationally, let alone just the tragic nature of what came out of it.
Right. Yeah, the whole thing is, I don't know. Part of me almost says, I don't know, was that like a test run of something just to see if this would work? What can they use this in a different way? I mean, I'm the last person that would have any idea.
Yeah, it's pretty low end technology, truthfully. Yeah. I mean, we saw, all my time running through Afghanistan and Iraq, one of the most common initiating devices for IEDs was cell phones.
Really?
Right. And you see it in a movie. So cell phone, is attached to the device itself, to the bomb itself. And they call the cell phone and, through a number of ways, truthfully, the little ball in there that vibrates in your phone, right? That would be, part of the initiation process for the explosive. It could be a lot of things. So the phones are part of this. And they have been for a long time. They would use rudimentary stuff like washing machine timers for rockets. Like they would set up rockets to fire and they would use a washing machine timer to set them off. Right. So this is not high end technology at all. I'm curious as to the why, the specific how, like, pager's only that big.
Yeah, they're small. I remember them.
How much explosive did you put in that thing?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's not a technological stretch by any shape, I don't think, but it is, I just think it was a horrible idea. It was a bad call.
Yeah. Very tragic.
Shame on Israel. Shame on whoever was responsible and whoever approved it, truthfully.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Yeah, that was a bad call. Bad series of decisions there. And, I certainly hope that it wasn't them, but who else would it be?
Who else would it be?
Who else would it be, right?
Yeah. There's no rival gang. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Story,
yeah.
Right. That's not what this is.
Yeah.
It has to be the Israelis. If it's not, it would be shocking beyond belief. But unfortunately too, is that there's people out there that are supporting them, putting their necks on the line.
Right.
This young man, right? This kid at Rutgers, right?
Yeah, so, this is another wild story.
Yeah.
Not to that degree, but certainly just a head shaker.
Yeah, but it makes this kid's life harder, right?
Yeah.
So you've got this young man, and he's a disabled veteran who was going to law school at Rutgers.
Yep.
And was, kind of taken aback by the amount of anti-Semitism that was at the school, publicly displayed all over the place. And so he started to, in a very tit for tat manner,
Yeah.
wherever there was something anti-Semitic, anti-Zionist, anti-Israel posted,
Mhm.
he was posting anti-Hamas, anti-Palestine stuff, literally right next to it, right next to it on
Literally,
the bulletin
he was
board.
setting up. Yeah, even when they were out doing their protests, he set up a
Yeah.
table and all of the things, and right
Yeah.
next to him, all his papers and pamphlets and posters right beside him, and yeah, which is pretty badass of him because he was by himself. It's not
Yeah.
like he had a whole crew of people with him. So
No. And so he didn't escalate,
No.
right? So again, it was very match 1-for-1.
Yep.
He didn't, blow it out any further than what the other side was doing. And he was very meticulous about it. Again, he's a law school student.
right,
So he knew what he was doing.
Yes.
In the sense of like, I know if I escalate, I'm asking for more trouble. So he got reported, his things got torn down. His name got moved through the disciplinary system all the way up to,
hmm
I think, the president or somebody
it went high up for
pretty
sure.
high in the
Yeah.
university.
hmm
He got told to stand down. He got told to back off. He got told this, he got told that. And his question continued to be, well, what about them? Like, why me?
Right.
Why not them? Why is theirs? Mine was literally in the same place, and he
Yep.
got cited a whole bunch of policies from the university. He got cited a whole bunch of stuff. And his question remained, but what about them?
hmm
Right? The anti-Israel, anti-Zionist,
Right.
anti-Semitic, all that stuff was left alone. Nobody
Yeah.
touched it. They weren't bothered. None of their stuff was
Yeah,
torn down or taken
and that
down.
is important. That is important to note. He didn't go around tearing down anybody
No.
else's stuff. He, like you
Nope.
said, it was literally different. You have up a poster saying what you're saying. I'm going to put up a poster saying what I'm going to say. And I think one of the things that they said to him was that it was inflammatory or it was inciting violence or something, something along those lines.
Yeah,
And
he called
it
them
wasn't.
savages.
It was bold. Yeah.
He
He was
called
calling
them
them
savages.
rapists and savages. Yeah. Yep. Pointed out that they were rapists, all of these things. But that's not inciting violence. Is it uncomfortable to read? Sure. That's not inciting violence.
Nope.
And it falls under the free speech because he's not
Yeah.
threatening anybody. There's no threat, stating an opinion, just like they're stating an opinion, which is what he said. He did not a lengthy, but he did an interview and, talked about it. And of course he was arrested. They took him away in handcuffs and all of that stuff. They ended up, I think all the charges got dropped, I believe.
Yes, but his record was not expunged. So they did let him graduate, which is good.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So he graduated from law school at Rutgers. He has not yet taken the bar because of all this stuff going on. He said it. He said, "Listen, I can't focus. I can't focus enough to study. I can't focus enough to take the test. I haven't taken it yet." But he is also very concerned because his record was not expunged, and it is still there. So as a potential lawyer, once he passes the bar, he has to disclose everything in his record legally, right? So his concern is even getting a job after he passes the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, by the way, even if he passes the test, the state may not allow him to be a lawyer because of his criminal record. So there's that as well. So they arresting him and then dropping the charges. Rutgers knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Somebody that probably the head of the law department was like, "Hey, you really want to stick it to this kid? Here you go. We can let him graduate. That's easy, but he probably never work again."
Yep.
So
Damage his options. Right.
Yeah. Now I'm sure he'll find a reputable law firm somewhere that's on the conservative side that will happily, give him a job.
Yeah.
Just based on his principles,
Right. But he'll get it in spite of all of this. You know what I mean? So that's
he will. It'll be more challenging, but he's
Yeah.
still got to pass the bar in whatever state he decides to go work in. He's got to go do that. So, but again,
and and to bring it back to what you're saying is this is the world that we're living in right now. That these people, there's a certain group of people who are getting away with saying and doing horrible things, awful things, breaking the law with no accountability, no reprimand, even nothing, more or less a pat on the back for doing it. And then you have another group of people who are doing the exact same thing and the hammer's getting dropped down on them. I mean, this is, this is our college campuses right now. It's a sad, scary thing.
Yeah. And, unfortunately, on top of all the, from the last story, as bad as that was, now it makes, as Israel does what they just did, it makes things tougher for people like this, right?
Mhm.
This young man is trying to support Israel.
Yeah.
He understands the effects of October 7th. He understands that the two-state solution doesn't work. He understands all that. But when Israel does things like what they did with the pager bombs, right, and innocent people get killed and injured, it makes it very, very hard to defend yourself and defend Israel when you have a conscience. Now, the flip side is all these people who've been defending Hamas for the last, almost year, they have no conscience.
None whatsoever. Not when you see video and images and, firsthand accounts of the absolute atrocities that occurred, and they're justifying it, applauding it even. That is a sickness that deserves the wrath of. Yeah.
So this young man kind of got stuck, he
did.
kind of, he's left, trying to defend Israel, and maybe he won't, you know what I mean? That's the other thing too. He may stop supporting him after something like this. You never know, but it's, the Israel thing's a bad look. And then this kid, going through what he's going through, it's bad all the way around,
Well, I hope for his sake, his story, gets picked up by more audiences, not just ours. We're certainly doing our part to kind of give him an attaboy here and let him know he's got some support out there, and people applauding him for his, courage in a situation like that, because these are violent, aggressive, nasty people who are, certainly not above throwing punches and tearing down things and wrecking, and intimidating and doing all of the, hostile behavior that we see over and over again from that side. So, it does actually take quite a bit of courage and bravery to stand up to that and stand up for what you believe in. So against those types of odds, he was literally outnumbered even by the institution that he paid to be at.
Yeah. Tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Like, thanks, guys.
So what he should do is go become a lawyer in the state of California, and then
that
maybe he can help.
Definitely,
maybe he can help the common man. Maybe he can help the common man fight against the overreaching government in the state of California. For those of you who don't know, now this has been tried, by the way, in the state of Illinois, New York, and now the Republic of California. They are going to put warning labels, overt display, not on the back of your oven or your stove, but on the front where you can't hide them. When you flip down the visor in your car?
Yeah, you got that label on there. Right? Yep.
That's what this is going to look like on the front of a stove, because gas is bad for you and it's bad for the environment. That's what this is about.
Yep.
They're going to force manufacturers. Now, they wanted to outlaw them, and they're still working to outlaw them. So this, I guess, is a little bit of a
well, there was such a pushback, such a public outcry that they kind of got embarrassed by the whole thing, and now they had to walk it back. Like, oh, we're not trying to take away your gas stoves, guys. We're just we're trying to warn you of the dangers. Yeah.
So supposedly, if you have asthma, it's bad for you. A gas stove is bad for you.
Supposedly. I don't really. Not really buying that, but
and supposedly it's bad for the environment, which I don't buy that either.
No,
but that's what is being thrown out there. So the state of California is requiring, and I think it starts next year in 2025.
Yeah, January 1st, 25.
Yeah. So all of these manufacturers of ovens and stoves are going to have a warning label, mounted on any of the gas appliances. I would imagine clothes dryers, hot water heaters, or water.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I guess so. Anything that
runs on gas is probably going to have a warning sticker, which could mean that bleeds over into the other states. There may be some manufacturers that just go, well, we're not.
Sure.
This is not going to be a California sticker.
Right.
This is going to be a sticker, and it's going to go on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, they will continue to work to ban gas stoves and gas appliances. You can count on that happening.
I mean, it just gets dumber and dumber every day.
It really does.
I mean, this is so stupid. I'm embarrassed that we even have to discuss something so stupid. It's right up there with labels to tell you that hot coffee is hot.
It's overreach. It is.
It's absolute overreach.
Absolute
it's
overreach.
Just all of their little, and I honestly think what it really is just another one of their gateways, they're doorways into more, like
Yep,
something else.
100%.
Because it's that little bit. Well, this is let's just stickers, big deal, no big whoop. Like let's just let it go, no problem, whatever. And then that moves into the next thing. Well, since you agreed,
Well, you said it though. You said this. They tried to ban him.
yeah,
And then they got embarrassed.
mm-hmm.
So then they backed off.
Right.
But they made ground.
They made ground,
Right.
and they're good with that. That's enough for them. They play the long game. How many times have we said they play the long game? They always have. And we're the dum-dums. God love us. We're the dum-dums that catch on, 5 steps later.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, hell no, absolutely not. Oh, I can't.
I know.
But
wrapping it up with the great state of California and somebody a Republican who did know how to play the long game, right? Yes. I have not seen Am I Racist? It's on my list.
Oh yeah, I got it. Yeah, it's on there. Right. We'll keep it up there as 1-2C.
Yes, 100%. Matt Walsh, if you haven't seen his stuff, it's amazing, right? If you haven't seen that, go stream it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Am I Racist, by the way, was the number 3 movie over the weekend, okay? In over 2,500 theaters, right?
And they were trying to ignore it.
And one of the biggest demographics was 18 to 30.
That's very interesting.
Huge, right?
Yes, that's.
But I did go see Reagan. And if you haven't seen it, right, I think it's a great history lesson. If nothing else, right? It's very nostalgic. We are of the Reagan. I remember the first election I remember anything about was him kicking Walter Mondale around in 1984 in that election, right? Which was brutal. Yeah. But it was a great history lesson and a great walkthrough of his life. And there are things that I did not know about him. I knew that when he was, his acting career was flailing. He was SAG vice president and SAG president. I knew that. I did not know he was an FBI informant. Communist efforts in California, and especially in the entertainment industry, there were efforts. Communists were trying to infiltrate the unions in the entertainment industry, and he was an FBI informant. Wow. I did not know that. But he was a Democrat who turned Republican, and was tried. He was the governor. He tried to run for president, lost the Republican nomination to Ford in 1976, who eventually lost to Carter. I mean, talk about a kick. You lose to Gerald Ford, the bumbling, stumbling idiot who lost to, until Joe Biden, the worst president in the United States.
Crazy.
So, but it was a great story.
Nice.
And Dennis Quaid was phenomenal.
That's what I keep hearing. I'm so excited to see this movie. I am so looking forward to it. I can't even begin to tell you. Yeah, but it showed how he played the long game with the Soviets, and got what he wanted. He played hardball, but he really knew what he was doing, and he really wasn't afraid to get up and walk away as a negotiation tool. It really, really was a great movie. Performance alone by Quaid was awesome, but the content of the movie was fantastic. So, who do you happen to know offhand? Who's the actress that played Nancy?
I know her name. And
I can picture her actually, and I can't.
Got me.
I'm gonna find it. That's okay.
Great job. She really did do a great job. And it showed a great relationship and a love between the two of them, which was awesome.
I love that.
It's a great love story between the two of them. But the whole thing was done very, very well and accurate. They knew they couldn't hide. They knew they couldn't. I think the only thing that's really fabricated is the method of storytelling. It's a discussion between a retired KGB agent and a new Russian, like a young Russian intelligence agent.
Interesting angle. Okay.
Yeah, the young guy, John Voight plays the old guy.
Okay.
And so the young guy goes to Voight and says, "How did this happen? Back in 1989, how did this happen?" And he goes, "Well, it happened a lot before 89." And he goes back and he goes, and this guy, this Russian KGB guy was a profiler, and he identified Reagan as a threat to communism way back when he was in Hollywood as an FBI informant. So he knew Reagan's life story because he studied him. And so he was the storytelling vehicle to throw it all out there. And it was done very, very well. So
nice.
Yeah, and it was great. It really was a great movie. And it's one of those where you probably should, as an American, just go in there and watch it,
Yeah.
suspend all your crap, your
Mhm.
political crap in your life, and just go watch
Yeah.
this whole story about, truthfully, the greatest president in my lifetime. So it really was a good movie. You will enjoy it, I guarantee it, Elsa.
I definitely will.
But I think all of our audience, if they haven't seen it, will enjoy it as well.
Well, incentive alone, if you're interested but not a big movie goer person, I'm not these days, so this is like one of those rare movies that is going to pull me out to go see it. They really tried to ignore this movie and pan it as much as they could. The mainstream, which we're now calling the state-run media.
SRN.
Right? Yes, I like that. Yes, that they would not even acknowledge it. They wouldn't advertise it. They suppressed views for the trailers on social media. Those are the accusations. I don't personally know that is true. I'm just telling you what was said. All the more incentive to go see it and talk about it and share it with people and all that. I'm really looking forward to it. I was so fortunate when my husband and I went to Mar-a-Lago for New Year's Eve. The woman who was coordinating everything, it's quick story. How much time we have? We're over anyhow, so I'm going to keep going. The heck with it. I'll tell this quick story as fast as I can. The woman who was kind of like coordinating our group and getting us all together and everything, I was very fortunate to sit next to her we had this women's luncheon, this tea. It was very lovely and elegant and beautiful. And we got to talking, and she was so gracious, asked me about my background, and I tell her my story. And then, of course, I ask her about hers. Well, she worked for Ronald Reagan. She was not his secretary, but higher up, like an assistant, basically. This poor woman, Peggy Grande. I'm doing such a disservice to her role, and I apologize, Peggy, for not getting this accurate. But she worked very closely with him and with Nancy and knew them very well in the later days of his life. She wrote a wonderful book. I'm blanking out on it because I'm looking at the time, so I'm blanking out. But I'll put that in there, and it's such a wonderful book, and it's just such a lovely personal account from her about her time with Ronald Reagan. And it was so wild to be sitting next to her, who I've been a Reagan admirer for, many, many years. And so it was really cool sitting next to her. So that's another book that I want to recommend to you guys, and it will be in the links.
Yeah, really great movie. Again, just as an American, just for a history lesson, if nothing else, you should go see it.
Absolutely. All right, good. Listen, I'm going just on Clay's recommendation, and I think you should too.
5 stars.
Yes, 5 star.
5 stars.
What is it? Thumbs up? Who were the guys that did like the thumbs
Siskel
up?
and Ebert. That
was a big 2 thumbs up.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Again, we love your company. We love seeing you in the comments section. That comment section over on YouTube.
Huge, not just participation, but a lot of views this week too.
Yes.
I think last I looked, last week's episode was like 2,300 views.
Wow, we love you guys.
I think our loyal folks who kind of lost the Facebook thing when your account got hacked, I think maybe they moved over to YouTube, which is
they
awesome.
Must have. They're so wonderful. They're so gracious for finding me. I love you guys. Thank you so much for hunting me down, hunting us down. We're so grateful. And again, we recorded this on Tuesday. You will be watching it on Thursday. So if there's something that happened on Wednesday and Thursday day, and we're not talking about it, you know why?
Suicide.
But we will talk about it soon. All right, Clay, send them off.
All right, everybody, track down Elsa Kurt on Facebook, the 2.0. That's what you got to find is the 2.0. And as always from me, keep moving, keep shooting.
Take care, guys. Bye.